Moon finna slide into Libra if it's not already. I believe it's on its way. The sun is in Virgo still, so when it comes to Virgo type things, we still calculating what's going on when it comes to reality. We're in the last few degrees of Virgo, so right now it's really important that you kind of use this last bit of Virgo energy, to set in stone what it is that you want to push as far as your routines and patterns going into this next cycle. Because this moon cycle is basically, the new moon always drops us. It usually happens during this cycle, you know what I'm saying? My fucking head, man, I gotta twist this shit up. When it comes to the moon cycle, for the most part, we in a situation where put the air on. We in a situation where when it comes to the air energy, right? I said when it comes to the air energy, what I'm talking about is right now going into being that we're in the new moon. Better wait. When it comes to the new moon that we're experiencing, Virgo is setting us on a mission, and that mission is to fulfill the journey from the new moon in Virgo to the full moon in Aries, right? So, but while that's going on, the sun itself, what we focus on, is going to shift into Libra. Now the moon is in Libra now, coming off of the full moon. Coming off of the new moon. So what all this means is basically we're taking that new scheduling system, new details that we're now privy to, and we already have the awareness on, right? Because the moon passed through the sun. So when you understand what a full moon, what a new moon actually means, you start to understand kind of the process that's going on. It's a brief moment in time in which we have a certain clarity depending on where we are mentally and whether or not our thoughts and feelings are organized or not. Because see, when you're not clear on what it is you're doing, and you're not really having a strong enough idea for yourself as far as what you need to be participating in at the moment, it causes for a lot of confusion. And this is when you get people who aren't clear enough mentally. And see, this happens a lot of times. Not being clear mentally is usually a result of you just planting bad seeds. Because when you plant bad seeds, it's like you miss shifts. You miss out on certain energy pockets. Meaning, if you spent all the new moon in Virgo still cleaning up stuff that had to do with the moon being in Leo, imagine what that's doing to you. This nigga cannot drive. God damn. I don't know what it is today, but hey. But when it comes to that energy, you start to see you playing catch up. That's what we be meaning when we say you playing catch up. You're trying to play out an energy that should have already been taken care of. But when you neglect your responsibilities, when you miss shifts, when you're not privy to the energies, you're not riding the wave, you get swept up in the current. For instance, let's just play out an example. Let's say for the moon in Leo, you was having issues with your character, right? And you wasn't expressing yourself. So being that you wasn't expressing yourself, it led you to not really have a strong sense of confidence, because you wasn't standing on any emotions. You wasn't fixating yourself on an expression and building confidence and awareness in that space. Nor were you making other people aware of your individuality with that, aka that Leo energy of expressing your, kind of like your solar plexus energy or your ego to be recognized and seen and perceived by others. You might have been too scared and not wanting to be embarrassed and wanting to avoid certain things or get certain things without putting a certain amount of work in order to just, again, you might have been a moon in Aquarius or Aquarius sun. So certain things that it seemed like, the Leo energy, and I don't really want to participate, you chose to skip out on it. But what happens is you missed out on certain opportunities to set energy in motion for your scheduling system, for the deets. For instance, going into the Virgo moon, the new moon, you had to play catch up because there were certain things you didn't express, certain things about yourself that you didn't solidify as a feeling. Because remember, Leo is like that fixed fire. So through expression, this is you expressing yourself to solidify your stance on a certain way of seeing and feeling. And from that experience of interacting with the world and expressing yourself, you are able to gain and foster more confidence because you're representing that, you're showing up as that, and then other people can acknowledge you within that space, right? Now I think in terms of progression, because if you think about it, right, that could have led to the new moon in Virgo, you not really having the confidence or clarity on what it is you actually wanted to do with your energy or your expression. So you choose to kind of play the background. So this might have been you playing catch up in the sense of not really having clarity on what you wanted to set a schedule on. So what happens is you went into the new moon not having no fresh, real idea, no real energy to stand on, right? But think about it. Now we're moving into the moon in Libra. Let's say you missed that shift too. We go into the moon in Libra, and now it's time to relate. It's time to build on relationships. Those relationships need to be correlated still where with the sun is at, which is in Virgo. So these relationships that we're building are for the sake of helping improving our situation. It's almost like a lot of business relationships now can flourish because our moon is predicated on reacting and responding to how we relate as individuals, but also who we're around that can provide balance. So if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing right now, you can have a lot of real clear insight on who you need on your team and who's even able to be in a position to help you out and who you in a position to help out. And this will set you up for success moving down the line, because as we move into Libra season, it's going to come down to what kind of value can you provide to those around you. And it's going to be based upon all the energy and results you was able to accumulate by expressing yourself and doing what you're supposed to do in Virgo season, aka putting in the work, doing the process of polishing your character so that people can see your worth a lot clearer. And so also you have a clear understanding of your worth, so you don't put yourself in situations where you either sell yourself short or you overcompensate. You know what I'm saying? You won't find yourself in situations like that because you already have a very clear idea of what you bring to the table, and people can see that based upon results. So you won't even have to do too much explaining about what it is you do and how good you are at it, because you've already been experiencing or going through the process of just that, expressing yourself, putting in the work. It's going to be something where it's a much smoother transition. But to get back to my point, you playing catch up. So being that you didn't express yourself back in the moon in Leo, and you was kind of foggy during the new moon, here we are in the moon in Libra, and you still off to the wrong foot, because now you didn't have the confidence, so you couldn't etch out the details of what you actually needed to incorporate. So now when you're expressing yourself, trying to relate, you're going to be missing key points. People are going to be picking up on certain things that you didn't figure out as far as details, practicality, calculation. You're going to have all the details wrong when you try to relate. And people are going to start to look at you like you ain't really got your shit together. They're not going to take you as serious as somebody who went through the new moon phase clear and in a space to actually know what's on their mind and what they want to set as an intention when it comes to the Virgo energy. So as you're expressing yourself and see, pay attention, we still in that Virgo time. So people gonna be picking up on details anyway, and they gonna be paying attention to who making the most sense at the moment. But like I said before, you're gonna be missing very key details in your form of expression, and it's all gonna stem from that one moon cycle that you was out of sync and you chose to plant bad seeds, but you didn't play a sufficient enough game of catch up to get back right. Because now it's like, think about it. If we talking about Leo energy, again, with the confidence and expression, people around you, you probably not even going to be around enough people who recognize you in that space or see you in a way that they can justify wanting to relate to you. So you could just be wasting your time expressing yourself and stuff like that still. And it's like, people gonna be like, well, I didn't know you actually could provide that value. I couldn't see you in that space. And you might not even have the awareness based upon you not getting in that space and developing confidence by expressing yourself without any fear and what's on your true heart. You manifested a situation people can't even imagine you in a certain position. So they not even really gonna reach out and try to communicate with you or try to create balance with you, because you didn't even really show what you was really about. So we see how these things play a domino effect in our life. So when it comes to, so that's just that point on that. And we always are in situations, like nobody perfect. We all gonna go through situations where, damn, I missed that energy, or I wasn't quite feeling it, because it's not always gonna be your time. It's not always gonna be your day. So there's gonna be days in which you're gonna have to, like, you know, just take the L and be like, damn, okay, well, I'm gonna do better next time, right? That's why high key we get 2 days within a moon cycle to get it right. And if both those days are rough, as long as you making an effort to do something different with yourself, then you in God's eyes, you doing just fine. You know what I'm saying? So we can't always be so hard on ourselves to the point it creates stagnation within ourselves. Like, there's always something you can do in the present to manipulate the future in a positive way. So that, you know what I'm saying? And that's some 2 cents from, or some my advice ain't 2 cents. My shit worth way more than that. But it, you know, it's a little, you know, word of the wise to individuals, you know, from a Jupiterian, to let you know, hey, you know what I'm saying, there's always a form of optimism available if you got the vision for it. You know what I'm saying? There's always something you can work with. It's never really always, you know what I'm saying, nothing ever really, I mean, doors close and stuff like that, opportunities pass and expire and shit like that. So it's not about false hope and just, you know, being completely delusional and shit like that. But think about what world we in. Like, you know what I'm saying, this shit is all make believe. This is all people's ideas and thoughts and feelings and shit like that. So, you know, you should keep in your mind, you can create whatever you want to create mentally, and it might take a long time to manifest itself physically, but the point is, you got the power to change stuff. You got the power, I said stuff, for lack of better words, but really what it is, you have the power to change yourself, and yourself being your internal, your thoughts and feelings, to get yourself closer to a better result. Now, clinging on to expectations, that's a whole different story, and something I'd advise against, because you ain't God. So you only can play out all possibilities, and all you can do is really transform yourself to be aware of different things that could lead to manifesting opportunities to materialize what it is that's close enough to what it is that you had in your mind. You know what I'm saying? But as far as what you actually got in your mind and trying to expect that exact form to come, you should go ahead and let go of that. Go ahead and throw in the towel for that, because that's not how this world works. That's you trying to play God and stuff like that, and that just don't play out too well as far as universal laws go. But continuing on my point with the moon in Libra, so we're going to be in that space of wanting to relate, but the sun in Virgo is going to have us looking at the details. So based upon what we criticized ourselves about in a healthy manner, right, the constructive criticism that came from the new moon in Virgo, and what we became aware of that we know we need to fix and adjust to become better in that space, to increase the results of manifesting a positive outcome or whatever situation we're going through. In this process, this is where we have to do this is where we actually get the space to start to relate ourselves in that manner. You know what I'm saying? So on an internal tip, right, it's about expressing yourself in a way that you are I just turned the car off. It's about expressing yourself in a way in which you are making moves and strides in this direction. So in the internal sense, this is you relating to yourself and the things you got going on in your life differently based upon what you know, the new sense you're making out of things, the new practicality that you're building for yourself, the details. Like I said before, that new moon in Virgo should have gave you awarenesses on what you need to improve upon to get a better result. So putting action into those, like we in the last few degrees of this energy. So it's very important that you take advantage of that so that you can start to build on that. Again, we in the waxing period, so we need to be putting in energy work to get to where it is that we want to be at. So part of that energy work right now, the moon is in Libra. It's simple. Changing how you relate, because it's a cardinal air sign. So initiating a new way to relate that is in alignment with the adjustments you're making on a practical end. So the different things that you know you was kind of getting wrong practically, now is your opportunity to actually do something more constructive with that energy. Hold on, let me just get in the house. Do this shit. I'm in here trying to chill out in the car. I gotta get my car fixed and stuff. Oh man, I'll tell you, man, Virgo season come around, all of a sudden there's so many things you gotta get done. The Virgo energy don't be playing. It be like, do it now. You can't even joke around. Look, I'm trying to rush and stuff. I'm trying to make this video, but for the most part, you know, that's the energy going on. It's like, it's gonna have us right now is that, and really, I really, you gotta really learn how to appreciate certain times that we in, phases that we go through, because it's like this, this energy in particular, the Virgo energy. The cool thing is, it's making you it's forcing you to be sober about improving your life. You know what I'm saying? And like right now, it's like, honestly, and when I say sober, it's like, whatever you partake in, that's your business. But what I mean is like a sober mentality. So not getting high and drunk off of emotions and feelings in ways you want things to be, aka that Pisces energy. So I put in the video yesterday about creating balance, or this morning, about putting balance or incorporating balance when it comes to, you going about your life like right now. Because with the new moon, it's kind of like you're going to be going through that experience of having to, you're going to be going through the experiences of having to, like I was saying, use that Pisces energy as an opposition to inspire you to keep going with building and improving yourself. But on the other end of that, right, there's the other layer of that, which comes down to you being able to sober yourself up with your actions and still stay on point when it comes to doing what you know that you need to do to get the best result you can. You know what I'm saying? Because doing what you need to do is going to look a lot different. Doing what you need to do is going to look like, okay, yeah, this is what I had on schedule. This is what I had on task. So I need to sober up myself to be able to, first of all, be aware and accept my actual reality. Meaning, let's not get confused about, like, maybe my screen just dark, but it's you coming to being able to see your reality and not really cut corners on what you need to do. Is you actually being sober enough to see your reality and say, okay, yeah, okay, I see these things around me need to be improved upon. These things, I'm not doing that correctly. I'm not doing that. So it's a certain level of criticism that you mix in with that optimism to be like, okay, I can actually do something in this energy to improve my situation. And so it's about taking a step-by-step process in that. You doing what you're supposed to do. Hopefully you've been using this Virgo season to actually trial and error a lot of these different things that we got going on in our life to see for yourself whether or not you got things going sufficiently. And if you see and calculate, you're like, yeah, you should already have had enough time in this Virgo energy to have been sober enough mentally to look around and say, okay, yeah, this ain't working efficiently. I can't keep going like this. This not going to produce a good result. So there's really no excuses at this point. This new moon should have been a no-brainer. Now, I mean, like, everybody in a different space, but as far as everything, it's like there's not much more that the universe can do to show you what it is that you've been fucking up with. Especially these retrogrades and, even Mercury going direct is a clear indication that's a certain level of clarity that you should be able to use and tap into to be like, oh, aha, this is what was going on with me. I was really thinking that things could play out like this. What was I thinking? That's like the energy you should have, but don't use that to get down on yourself and push yourself further away from achieving success. Be like, yo, nigga, like, let me inspire myself with that. Like, okay, now I know better. So what? I can do better. You know what I'm saying? I can actually do better. So that's the mentality. But when it comes to the moon right now, being that the moon is in Libra, we're now able to see how we're relating and how that doesn't line up to the again, this new moon is about polishing character. So this is polishing how we relate, polishing how we can create more balance in our life. So how we relate to the different things, people, places that we got in our life already. So you already know what you got to make adjustments in. Now it's time to work on the relationship between you and whatever you see that you got to adjust. Also, on the other end, it's like I was saying, if you are finding yourself relating to other people, this is you relating on the basis of productivity. So you able to create new relationships that actually are more productive for what it is that you actually trying to do in this life. And that will lead in to the sun making its way further into Libra. The sun in Libra is going to have a shift from polishing ourselves as far as our focus, and it's going to start to look at, okay, now that I got my stuff together and I'm on the path with my new schedules and procedures about how I'm going to conduct my characters, from, and that's just talking about the moon cycle from Virgo to the full moon in Aries. Now that I got that going on, that's going to kind of take the back burner, but it's really not the back burner, because low key the moon cycle. See how you gotta understand this energy is that the moon cycle, and why it's so important is because it's the underlying theme of a certain period of time, from the new moon to the next new moon. But the new moon to the full moon shows you where the climax needs to be. So that's where you should have already put in the work to get to the epiphany, aka the solution that can lead to the resolution of the energy for the next new moon, for you to be clear and be able to jump into that new space. That's the underlying theme. But you know that by the sun is on a different cycle. So the sun's focus, your focus switches up during the new moon. But the thing about it is the new moon is supposed to be you applying the underlying theme to wherever your new awareness is in when the sun shifts into the new sign. And so by the time that the next new moon comes up, we've already spent a significant amount of time paying attention to that space. And now the moon, the next moon cycle, is here to clean it up. It's here to actually create a new theme with actual information. Because you got to think, like, it goes deep, because it's like the moon is like the receiver. So the moon, and it's even like it's like just how the feminine energy looks to the masculine energy for direction. The sun is always ahead. Now, there's some cases where the moon gets out of whack and stuff like that, but for the most part, that's generally what happens. The sun is in a certain sign and switches signs midway, right after the new moon. The new moon is left to kind of carry out the underlying theme based upon what the sun has already experienced and projected and expressed. And then the moon is there to receive that information and work on itself as far as a theme, so that the theme can keep on going. So like that's how you could look at a lot of these moon cycles and shifting into the sun cycle. So when you look at this, the sun is moving into Libra. So our focus is shifting from polishing to actually going about creating these relationships and figuring out ways that we can relate to ourselves differently and relate to others differently based upon our style of relationships, and also being able to open doors to figure out different collaborations that we can make in the actual physical world, while the moon is carrying out the theme, the underlying theme of the previous sun, or where the sun just was, aka emotionally and internally we're polishing our character so that we can become a full-fleshed individual in that space. We already was working with the awareness of it, aka we was in Virgo season. The sun was already having us privy to polishing. See, even when you understand masculine and feminine energy, that's why the masculine energy a lot of times plays out the way it does. Masculine individual or spirits who chose masculine bodies, right, aka male bodies, usually the way a male thinks and moves, or is supposed to, is in a way of trailblazing, making those mistakes first, doing the heavy lifting, so that the feminine energy, what does the feminine energy represent? A lot of spirits that chose feminine bodies, this is why a lot of times women be coming off a lot more intelligent just based upon their disposition energetically, meaning a woman is who comes into a man's life and cleans things up. Now, I'm not saying, that from people start to be like, oh, wow, well, I use that word. Why, as a woman, I got to clean things up? No, you're thinking too dense. I'm talking energetically. The feminine energy is the energy predicated upon details. Way more detail, way more just, and what it really is a certain level of emotional intelligence, understanding how things should be when compared to how other things are, keeping things up. You know what I'm saying? A man can only do so much, but a man's job isn't to be so bogged down by the details, the small little things, and no, the male needs to be doing whatever it's doing to create the space, to create the direction, to move forward. A man who's too much in his motions and plays out as a beta male, that's an individual, that's a man who is too concerned with his own. It's like you see that play out as a man who's scared to take risks. A man who's scared to lead, always looking to somebody else to give him a direction or idea. As a masculine figure, you need to be coming up with the idea to spark the movement. A woman doesn't want to wait. A real woman doesn't want to wait around for a man to gather himself all the time. The woman want to know that the man know where he's trying to go, so she can what? Improve upon it. Man, like basically receive it and make it like it's the same concept as making a house a home. The man is supposed to build the house. Then a woman comes in and tells and says, okay, well, yeah, the furniture should go here, the kitchen should go here. The woman makes it a home. If a man is sitting around and got everything to say about where the furniture is, and he put a woman in a position where she got to build the house, this is where we are as far as this gender war shit and how they got stuff so inverted to this point where you got a lot of women who can't be women based upon just the situation that the shadow government presented, where women got to be in that masculine type energy. And that's why a lot of women feel unsafe. That's why a lot of women don't even know how to get into their comfort energy, and how a lot of men, because they're not getting the support from the woman, they reverting to this emotional outbursts and stuff like that, and thinking that they need to be put on a pedestal and they need to be provided for, and they, you know what I'm saying? It's just you see where it created that rift between real masculine energy and real feminine energy, and so you get a lot of confusion nowadays, and that's what the shadow government preys upon to get people kind of lost in the loop. And the way they look at it, it's not even to look at them as that like blame them for everything. They just giving y'all the rope and letting y'all hang yourselves. It's really on y'all. You know what I'm saying? I know that don't sound good to hear, but it's really on y'all that get lost in all these different dichotomies and shit like that. It's your fault you took the interpretation and then you made it justified for your desires in that space. You know what I'm saying? It's your fault. And your, you know, but again, let's not ignore the fact that the way they done set this shit up, it's fucked up in the beginning. But you know, I don't know. In this channel, my whole thing is like this. Not to make we're not victims. If you on this channel, you already got to come to grips with the fact that you're not a victim. I don't care what then manifested in your life to look at and be like, damn, why that happened to me? But in this channel, it's about spiritual empowerment. So we take accountability, we do the shadow work, and we change our circumstances by exerting ourselves as spirits and doing better because we know better. You know what I'm saying? And even this shit, a lot of this stuff, if you do resonate with it, it's because you probably already knew this stuff. You just didn't know how to articulate it or where to pinpoint it. So let's keep on going. So the moon right now is helping us relate ourselves better. And we need to continue to experiment with relating in this new polished character of ourselves as we're developing it. That's where we are right now. So like I said before, the sun is going to shift this awareness into Libra. So we want to make sure that right now we plant the right seeds, aka we find ourselves relating to the right individuals based upon our polished character, not relating on individuals who justify us in our lazy energy, justify us in our passive energy, aka you're not actually putting in the work to present your new polished character to situations and circumstances. You still sitting back and letting people think that you the same way. You're not initiating no conversations that lead to people seeing you in a new space, in a new light. So you got to keep that in mind too. And depending on where these houses are in your chart, that's going to let you know the area of life in which these things are going down. So you can be like, oh, okay, I know in this space, like for me, for instance, I use me as an example. The sun is in my 10th house at the moment. The new moon happened in my 10th house. So this is a whole new way to correlate my status. The sun is shifting in my 11th house. So if I don't take my new polished character and start to work on the things that I seen I need to improve on as far as my status goes, if I don't take that and make movements towards that, aka the moon being in Libra now in my 11th house, if I don't take new ways to relate with the things I'm associated with in the name of that polished character that has something to do with my new status that I'm trying to manifest for myself, it's not going to lead to me being satisfied when the moon gets into Aries, aka my 5th house. I'm not going to be satisfied with how I see myself, because these are the very early seeds. And a lot of times people mess up because a lot of people don't even catch the new moon wave or feel confident enough to jump into this energy until we hit the quarter square. And at that point, you still got time, But look at all the time you wasted. This is the equivalent of you spending the springtime on your ass. So when the summer comes, you ain't got the washboard body or whatever they call them. You ain't got the body you can just take your shirt off and go to the beach. You ain't got you ain't put in the work. You didn't experience enough things to have the confidence to shine in Leo season. You played it small. You didn't experiment no new things in the spring. So now the summer you looking low key crazy. You got to jump on the trend. You not a trendsetter. People ain't paying attention to you because you was too busy trying to see what everybody else was on instead of investing in yourself and doing your thing, right? And that's just an analogy for the energy and how it flows. But y'all should understand what I'm saying. So during moon cycles, it's the same thing as seasons. The first until the square, and in this case, the new moon started, or let's look it up based upon the full moon. The full moon is in Aries. It's finna be in Aries. So the square this is going to be that the square this is going to be in that Capricorn energy. That's what it was. And I was like, we started in Libra. I was like, it can't be a square now. No, that's going to be where the opposition is because the sun is going there. But the square going to be in Capricorn. So by Capricorn, a lot of people are going to start waking up and like, oh, I see what I need to do in this new moon cycle. But you done already missed a couple key points. Like I said, this is key. Relating yourself in a different way based upon these improvements in your polished character, this going to give you a certain awareness that's going to help you go deeper with it when the moon gets into Scorpio. And then what does that do? Deep emotions and slow key the opportunity to continue to improve yourself and cultivate these relationships behind closed doors, but cultivate yourself and your own deep insecurities and transmute certain things within yourself, which leads to what? This leads to not only you, it's like you getting your aura straight. So it's going to lead to you being able to, from these relationships or these new ideas you sparked in people based upon your new way of relating your energy and your character, your polished character, it's going to lead to people being able to have the opportunity to open up trust and deep bonds and stuff like that. But also you being deeper in touch with your own true deep desires and you being able to access certain power and be able to take certain power control and use certain energies to manipulate your situation in a better way, a healthier way. You won't have to lie to that person because you've already presented yourself in a new way, developed a whole new relationship based upon new communication that you spark with them. Now they can trust you already. You ain't got to lie to them. Matter of fact, they want to invest with you. So now it becomes a true 8th house energy or Scorpio energy where it's shared values. Me and you got the same desires. Imagine how much power that generate. Then it leads into Sagittarius. Now you got wisdom. You got an epiphany. You went through the little dark space. You got a whole new wise way to see this shit. And then we hit Capricorn. Now you figured out the key component that's going to help you build the system to support that. Now your reality looks a lot more in correlation to what it is that you're polishing in your new status. And see, it's still going to be a square where the sun is at because it's still going to be in Libra, but your square, your challenge is going to be a lot different than the person who planted a bunch of bad seeds or let this energy pass without using it. Your battle is going to be about learning how to relate your new status. You're already going to be in that new, you're going to feel yourself in that position of a boss. And it's just going to be a matter of you relating now that you actually in that position. Now, the people who didn't do the work, these are going to be the people who realize that they're restricted and they can't develop certain relationships simply because of the status that they already been trying to put out that wasn't polished. They was already fucking up in those. They didn't build up the rapport to be respected in the same spaces that you did as you an individual who planted the right seeds. They're going to be restricted and they're going to see the reality of their situation based upon who they can get in a relationship with and who they can't. And I mean that platonically, friendship, business, all that type of shit, romantic, all that shit, all relationships. So that's just some real shit. This astrology shit is a tool, but it's one of the coldest tools to use to really help you with your spiritual correlations and stuff like that. Just because it's the raw energy. It's like, it's a lot of this shit. It'd be funny because doing transit videos and stuff, it'd be sounding like I'm just talking, but this be some shit you really look in your life. And once you put the work in, you put the energy where it's supposed to go, it don't be no question as to what's going on. You start to be cold because you know what to do with it. But that's where it's leading to, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, it's all the way down till we get to the full moon. So always look at this waxing period as, okay, this the new moon, where the full moon gonna be at? Once you know where the full moon at, you start to understand the timeline now. In these next 2 weeks, I need to be improving this aspect of my life, new ideas in this space, aka in this case, new ideas when it comes to Virgo, so that I can be satisfied with the ideas I manifested in Aries. And then all I got to do is look at each moon sign and jump into the energies to do what's necessary, no matter how uncomfortable. The more uncomfortable, the better. And I'm going to be better. At that point, you don't have to micromanage your intentions. You don't have to micromanage your manifestations, aka overthink about it, overdo it, underdo it, based upon you just being too flustered with the energy and too overwhelmed. A lot of people overwhelm themselves and they spend their whole moon cycle not doing shit, simply because they're overcomplicating it. Just look where the moon is at, bro. Just relate. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's easier said than done because we be going through stuff. But I'm just saying, I'm trying to give it to y'all raw so y'all know, okay, it really ain't that deep. And if I'm making it that deep, that's probably on me. You the only person who can make things deeper than what they need to be. You know what I'm saying? Now, the moon's alignment is going to be opposite the North Node, so we might feel uncomfortable because we're trying to relate a new way, and we might not understand what this correlates with when it comes to our spiritual path. We might not feel comfortable reacting to the things we're reacting to because our spiritual path wants us to be solo on our own, you know what I'm saying, completely doing what we do and being in that space of your complete individuality. But there's a lot of things we can learn from this space because the moon's going to be conjuncting the South Node. So there's a lot of things we need to correlate differently when it comes to how we relate in general. And we need to put our environment to the test or put our relationships to the test to see even if these are the same individuals we really need to be around. So it's about, applying your new polished character so that you can get more familiar with your ability to relate in general. And see, this is going to contribute to you getting on your spiritual path because that's where the full moon is going to be at. Your full moon is you going to be needing to be satisfied with your individual path. Right now is like a small, again, it's like conjunctions are like power. So right now you have the power to really get real secure in relationships or establish new relationships. So like I was saying, plant seeds based upon new communication that you spark with individuals around you based upon who you are now and your polished character. And that's going to set you up to be taken care of later on down the line. These are like South Node energies are the ones that make you feel a little more comfortable with the uncomfortable things that you're going to have to do. So you still feel uncomfortable with the spiritual path, but at least you can start to develop relationships that can support you along the way. So that's kind of the movement. But the moon is also opposite Chiron. So right now you feel completely opposite to making mistakes. So right now you can actually, correct some mistakes and bring balance to previous mistakes you made by being too individualistic or not considering how you were relating to things around you or abusing certain relationships with things, people, and places that you was involved with. So you might have had a certain relationship to a drug or something like that, yet you was abusing. And right now you can see the opposite of that and what's needed to provide balance and be able to rectify that mistake and be like, yeah, I wasn't relating to my pleasures the right way. So now I need to readjust that and bring more balance. And you'll be able to apply that based upon that Virgo energy too, just being aware of what needs improvement, depending on where this is at in your life and what you going through at the moment. The moon is going to be in conjunct Saturn, so misunderstanding how to feel about reality. Don't think too much about reality. Right now it's more so about how you're correlating yourself and relating to the things around you. You know what I'm saying? So just understand, reality not going to make sense, and we might be putting extra pressure on it based upon the sun in Virgo and all this other moon energy that's trying it. So it's going to be like we have the gift to make adjustments, but we have to actually go through the experience of making the adjustments. So it's not going to feel all the way 100% right now, so don't let that discourage you and prevent you from opening up your mouth, your throat chakra, and communicating. Right now we need to plant the seeds by new things that we're sparking as ideas in other people, aka cardinal air. Now, the moon is also going to be in conjunct Neptune, so misunderstanding illusions right now. So don't get too caught up in pleasure. You know what I'm saying? You might just want to relate something because it makes you feel good. You should be side-eyeing that and trying to figure out, because right now, this ain't necessarily a feel-good time. This is a time where you don't need to feel bad, but you need to understand that I got some work to do. And that needs to be more so the attitude than doing stuff that's satisfied, that dreamland, what feels good, fantasy bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Look, sorry, Pisces. It's just not your time right now. It's time to do something different right now. But that's going to make you better in the long run. And when we do get to your season, hey, you might be able to fuck around and have some fun. Honestly, we're going to talk about Scorpio season when it come up. But a lot of this energy is setting us up for Scorpio season. And I'll go deeper into that when we get closer to the energy. But just understand that a lot of what we're doing now is so that our Scorpio season can run smoother. Because a lot of these energies are currently going direct. Starting with Mercury and kind of talked about it in that other video. Now, when it comes to the moon, it's also going to be in conjunct Jupiter. So misunderstanding how to feel about our experiences. Right now, don't be too concerned about how you feel about it. Right now, it's more so about how you think about it. So use use a little more of the practical mind as far as understanding that I need to put in the work and expand in this area, aka that trine that Mercury is going to be making with Jupiter. Mercury going direct is going to have you clarity on what's the more wise way to think. Right now, you want to kind of rely more so on your logic and practicality than just your feelings. You know what I'm saying? You might not know how to feel about your experiences, but it's not about trying to feel about them. It's about calculating and doing what's necessary to get to make progress and taking it step by step, experiencing trial and error to get it right. You know what I'm saying? Or to improve upon it. Moon's also going to be in conjunct Uranus, so you're going to feel misunderstanding. You're going to misunderstand how to feel about your individuality. Right now, we need to figure out how to relate that better. So go through the process of figuring out what's a better way for you to relate based upon what you're going through and who around you to relate to. You know what I'm saying? You got to be realistic about who really around you too. So figure out how you can make balance based upon who's around you or what's around you that you're relating to. Because there might be a gift or talent that you can learn how to relate to better that will lead to you getting the right people around you later on. And it'll satisfy your individuality being able to be expressed through that actual physical thing, or lead to being able to produce money based upon how you change. Also, misunderstanding how to feel about these changes. Again, fuck how you feel about the changes. You know your changes need to be made. So change how you relate so that you can get a better result. And then Moon, trying to think of where everything is at. We talked about Aries, Pisces. We talked about Aquarius. Okay, Moon square Pluto. So we have to learn how to relate in a way that's that's leading to our status being reformatted. So I talked a lot about status in the other video. So that's kind of in the back of our minds right now. We want to take power control over our status, and we're gonna do it. We can do it if we learn how to relate better. You know what I'm saying? So take that learning process and that frustration and go through it. Capricorn, then we go to Sag, then we go to Scorpio, then we go to Libra, then we go to Virgo, then we go to Leo. Venus is in Leo. So this is the opportunity to actually gain support based upon what we've been expressing and what we've been paying attention to when it comes to our values. So this is the opportunity for your values to be supported if you're willing to express them. So, hey, loud and proud with what it is you do and what you value. Hopefully, again, you should have already correlated that energy to be more smooth and be in the right light. So, use that to do what you need to do with it. That's Leo, Cancer, Gemini, and then we Taurus, and yeah, back to Aries. So yeah, I ain't gonna go into the asteroids. They pretty much in the same position. Lilith is kind of playing around between Virgo and Leo. So don't let embarrassment stop you from expressing, and don't let embarrassment stop you from actually doing something that can improve your life, or being too critical on yourself to the point where you stagnate yourself. Don't overthink it. Just move through it, keep it smooth, and you know what I'm saying? Hey, may the energies be in your favor. You know what I'm saying? If you're looking to get a astrological consultation, do not hesitate to hit me up, Dave795AB@gmail.com. I got slots open. Just let me know what you're looking for and we can get you filled in. Other than that, a whole lot of new announcements coming soon. And yeah, just shout out to everybody, all the new subscribers. At this point, like, people just coming through. So very, very grateful to have y'all. And then, you know, don't forget to like, share this. And if you are new on this video, watching this one, you know, consider subscribing, hit that little bell stuff, you know what I'm saying? So you know, on point, you know what I'm saying? Because we coming hard, all subconscious community taking over, you know what I'm saying? We coming hard with everybody dropping some heat right now. So, you know, much love, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.